Here we go, my friends. Eyes down for a full TV schedule. We've got 6 films for your consideration. The We Be Me, Paul Ross and Van Connor, one of the country's leading film critics. Between us, 3 each, something for the weekend, sir. 3 Freeview film recommendations. And this morning we are talking action, we're talking espionage, we are talking cowboys, and we are talking vampires. If only they're all in the same film, that'd be some kind of movie, would it not? Good morning, Van. How you doing, matey?
Good morning, Mr. Ross. Can't complain here. I had the pleasure of watching Inside Out 2 this week. That was a good night.
Oh, goody. I think I was saying to you via the WhatsApp group, I saw 2001 and On the Waterfront, not on a double bill,
yes,
on a big screen, on the waterfront for the first time ever. It's amazing how, the black and white photography in that, and the fact it was probably shot on 35mm back in the day. What a great film that is. And on 2001 on the big screen just is still a bit of a mind-blowing 60s trippy experience. I love that film.
Oh, he's so good on the big screen. It's one of those things, you've got to do it every now and again. I like Apocalypse Now on the big screen as well. That's one I go and revisit at revival shows every now and again.
But let's start with a film that is never far from my thoughts, and you got there first this week, you're so-and-so. It's on Film 4. It's on tonight, 5 minutes to midnight. Con Air. Tell us more, Van.
Oh, yes. Con Air on Film 4 tonight at 11:55. So perfect time. When the pubs chuck out, go home. Con Air's on. Perfect timing. See your weekend in with style via peak 90s action Nicolas Cage. This is when Nicolas Cage started doing proper action movies. He'd had The Rock the year before this, then goes on to Con Air, and this is the one where he has the long hair. He is Cameron Poe, the wrongfully incarcerated former Army Ranger, who is being transported for his release home on the same plane that then sees a riot break out and all the convicts set loose, all under the auspices of John Malkovich's Cyrus the Virus. It's an absolute banger. It's like a proper old Dirty Dozen type thing, with a Cops and Crims type show. You get John Cusack running around the middle.
Well, also, I absolutely love this. Was the first film I really became aware. Around this time, I think there was Armageddon as well, of how great Steve Buscemi could be. He steals every scene he's in, does in this film.
Oh, he really does. Steve Buscemi is fantastic. Danny Trejo actually is quite memorable in this movie as well. Dave Chappelle, a very young Dave Chappelle stars in this as well. It's just a really great movie, though. A really good old-fashioned, say, late 90s action thrill ride. And you can see this, as I say, perfect post-pub time, 5 to midnight tonight on Film 4. So, when you're coming home with that freshly cooked pizza on the way home from the pub, just settle down for some Nicolas Cage Con Air action. I've got a clip for you. This is, of course, which moment I have to do if it's some Con Air. So I'm going to pass it over to Sir Nicholas of Cage.
Here we go. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Appears the United States Parole Commission that... Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Put the bunny back in the box.
I knew you was a punk, and I was right. You been playing us all along. You a free man.
I said, put the bunny back in the box.
And it wasn't even Easter. That is a great film with a great clip. Now, yours is a great kind of portmanteau cast of superstars. So it's my first recommendation, but a very different film in tone, in setting, and delivery. It's the big screen version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Unbelievably to me. Now, this is 13 years old now, Van.
I know, that's breezed by. My God.
It certainly has. However, it stars Gary Oldman as George Smiley, the role made famous on television by Sir Alec Guinness, Colin Firth, Tom Hardy, John Hurt, Toby Jones, Mark Strong, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Kieran Hines, plus Kathy Burke stirred into the mix in the role that was originally played by Beryl Reid on TV. So this is, and I think they allow it to breathe, this film. It's long enough to get the ins and outs and the complications, which aren't as complicated as the TV series, so they really stretch that one out. There's an 8-parter or something. But basically, there's been a bit of a sea change of power within the Secret Service, MI6, well, they never definitively say what it is, and the old guard are out and there's been some operation that's gone wrong, but now they think there might be a mole, and then they know there's a mole somewhere in the very upper echelons of British intelligence, and George Smiley is persuaded to come out of retirement by the outgoing boss, played by John Hurt, to try and find the mole. And he narrows it down to a few suspects, and he gives them code names: Tinker Tailor, Soldier and Spy. And the film follows his relentless, at times dangerous for him and his allies, like Benedict Cumberbatch's character, pursuit of this mole. And it's, even though I read the book, I think a few years after it came out, obviously, I saw the TV series a couple of times, And it still is always one of those moments when you think, I know who's the mole, but blimey, what a surprise this is. And the ending of this is just so fantastic. I just love this movie. I think also I love it because Gary Oldman, no vanity, wears the most hideous pair of 1970s authentic glasses you've ever seen.
He really does.
You practically want Ted Moulton to double glaze them. They're that big. But it's a good film. Got that drabness of the East European era of the Cold War and the drabness of London in the 1970s. So I think this works on every level, this film. You'll need a bit of patience with it because it's not a short film, and it's on tonight, 11:25 on your BBC One, so you can watch it without adverts. Did you rate this one when you saw it when it came out, Van?
Oh, this was a banger. I really enjoyed this when it came out. What a cast! This thing was stacked.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Hardy is one of those amazing roles that it's kind of Oscar worthy. Except there are so many other great performances in this as well. And Mark Strong in particular is brilliant in this film. As the kind of agent who retires, becomes a teacher at a public school, and some great kind of insights into these people's characters and lives. So as I said, it's on tonight, 11:25, BBC One. It is Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy, The Hunt for the Mole.
There is a mole right at the top of British intelligence. He's been there for years.
For 25 years, we've been the only thing standing between Moscow and the Third World War.
I'm retired. You're outside the family. You're well placed to look into this for us now.
I'll do my utmost.
I know that it is one of these men. All I want from you is one code name. Tinker. Tailor. Soldier. Spy.
I need you to do something.
I'm going to have to send you up into the lion's den. If you're caught...
What the hell are you doing up here?
Can't mention me.
Great film, great cast. And what's your second recommendation for us, please, Van?
Well, from one Gary Oldman movie to a very different one, really. So Saturday night on Channel 4, 10:10, is the Gary Oldman as the villain in this one. It's 1997's Air Force One, from director Wolfgang Peterson, starring Harrison Ford as the president when Air Force One gets overtaken by terrorists and a hostage situation ensues, and only the president can John McClane his way to safety. This apparently is Donald Trump's favourite movie. Would you believe? This is apparently the man's favourite movie.
It's a documentary they made of my life. I didn't like to talk about it. I saved the plane. Exactly. I saved the world. Nobody saves planes like Donald Trump.
Exactly that. But it's a cracker of a movie. Just sort of everyone firing on all cylinders. Just a movie that really just rides along. I've got a clip for you. This is Gary Oldman in peak Russian villain mode, facing off against the Prez.
Boom.
Call him. No.
No, I have no choice. You have the choice.
Leave her alone. This is between you and me.
You lose a child, it hollows you out.
We're soldiers. Take my life. If you no honor.
I'll count to 5.
No!
It's gonna be all right.
1.
It's gonna be all right.
2.
I'll do it.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother flipper. Where's Bruce Willis when you need him? It's a great film, though. That's on tomorrow's recommendation. Of course, it is the mighty Air Force One. I've gone for another film, my second one, with another great cast, an all-star cast. Interestingly, Gary Oldman was the bad guy, the incredibly corrupt and evil cop in that rather fine film Leon, which stars Jean Reno, the brilliant but the kind of hangdog-looking French actor. Jean Reno stars in a film called Ronin, alongside Robert De Niro, Natasha McElhone, Stellan Skarsgård, Sean Bean, and Jonathan Pryce, who was one of the great Bond villains of the Pierce Brosnan era.
Yes.
Great lineup. A Ronin is, I'm sure you know this, but Ronin's a masterless samurai. So they're basically all special forces trained. Maybe one has overhyped his CV, as we find out, but they're special forces trained from various armies around the world, but they're guns for hire and expertise for hire. They get tasked with what sounds like a relatively simple job. Of course, things do not go as planned, so the setup is lengthy, but I think because John Frankenheimer is such a master of this kind of film, it's a kind of old-fashioned feel to this film. I think it came out in 1998. It could have been made really around the time of the Thomas Crowner film, it was late 60s. You just get that sense of precision and the build-up, and it's nothing better than watching someone like Robert De Niro playing a professional at work, the way he does in Heat, for example, which I know you recommended, was it last week or the week before? So it's that feel to it, and it's a very different film. It's espionage, amazing foreign locations. It didn't do badly at the box office, but it kind of didn't perform the way blockbusters do. I think it cost $50 million, made $70 or $80 million, and the car stunt chases are fantastic in this, and I think they got some pro racing car drivers from the Indianapolis 500, and I think for Formula One, to take part in it, because of course it's a very this is the decade, this was the era before CGI and before some of that Fast and the Furious, almost Marvel Comics nonsense. So I enjoyed this film. Frankenheimer's, it was his last well-received feature film. After that, the critics thought his career really tailed off, but it's an interesting film. I mean, Car Chasers for me bear comparison, maybe not with The Bullet, but certainly with The French Connection. And this
French
film
Connection, definitely.
Yeah, and this film is on tonight. On the weekend, in fact, over into Sunday morning. It's 12:30, 30 minutes past midnight tonight. Company some slack on Channel 4 from 1998. It's Ronin, and this is just a good breezy chunk of the trailer. Action all the way.
He was hired to lead a mission.
This is what we're after.
To recover a package.
We need to take it intact from several men who will be intent on preventing us.
Nice. My kind of job.
That some are willing to die for.
Relax, darling. Just a game. Could you take a picture of me and my wife?
Get the background.
This guy goes for the case, other guy's protecting the principal. Oh, they're good.
And everyone is willing to kill for.
I want $100,000. I want it up front. I want another $100,000 when you get the case.
Good film, that is. That's Ronin. And my final recommendation, going to Sunday now, is a fascinating film, fascinating to me anyway. It's a Western that was shot consecutively alongside another Western. Both starred Jack Nicholson, but a very young pre-Easy Rider Jack Nicholson, who had a hand in the screenplay, I think, of the second Western, maybe not so much with this one. Directed by Monty Hellman, who's a bit of a cult director, who went on to work with one of the stars of this, Warren Oates, who worked a lot with Peckinpah, in a film starring James Taylor, the singer-songwriter, about street racing called Two Lane Blacktop, which, if it turns up on Channel 4 or Film,
I know that one.
It's worth catching. A very kind of grubby, down-hill 70s film. It was billed, I mean, basically, they shot it, self-financed it, sort of, and couldn't get a studio to distribute it for a couple of years. Then Easy Rider happened, so suddenly Jack Nicholson is like one of the hottest stars in the world. And so Warner Brothers then distribute it. They weren't sure how to market it. It's very bleak. It's, again, very cold and European. It's not perfect by any means, but if, like me, you're a Western fanatic or fan, and you've never seen, or if you have, I mean, I've got it on DVD somewhere, but who's got a DVD player these years? It's called The Shooting. It's on 7:15 Sunday night on a channel we don't often mention. We do something, Legend, Freeview channel, 7:15 Sunday night. It's The Shooting from 1967, and it's all shot very existential backdrop of almost this kind of incredibly oppressive but desert open sky landscape. Some great performances in it. Very strange film indeed, but one of my favourites. And it's 7:15 Sunday night on Legend. Here's a chunk of the over-the-top trailer.
In the suspense-filled tradition of High Noon, Jack H. Harris presents The Shooting, starring Jack Nicholson. Violent, sadistic, merciless, more exciting than an Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces. Co-starring Millie Perkins in her first major role since Diary of Anne Frank. Will Hutchins. Warren Oates as Willard Gachet.
You want to ride with me, boy? Okay. How'd you like the way I done Leland drum? Like I say, I'll blow it off the first word out. Go sit down over there.
Unequaled climax, which we urge you not to reveal.
Your brain gonna fry out here, you know that?
So they mention 5 Easy Pieces, Easy Rider, and the Diary of Anne Frank in that trailer, and they mention the name of the producer, but they don't mention the name of the director. Those were the days. I don't think the bloke they mentioned actually produced it. He just saw it being bought in for Warner Brothers. Anyway, that's my final recommendation. 7:15 Sunday night, The Shooting on Legend, and your final one's another cracker, Van. I think we've got 6 goodies this week.
We have indeed. So Sunday night at 11:10 on 5 Star, they are showing the original 1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, which very famously Joss Whedon had written the script for. It then got sort of taken in a direction that he completely did not see it going, and then he picked it up 5 years later and did the TV series in the style that he wanted. So you can sort of see the very different tones there. And they have actually come out with a comic book in recent years that reframes the movie through the tone of the series, but it still kind of works. This is basically the origin story. This is how Buffy became the Vampire Slayer. Here she's played by Christy Swanson. She's the vacuous high school student who discovers that she is the one in a generation warrior who must defend the human race against, vampires and the forces of evil. She is taken under the care of a watcher named Merrick, who's played by Donald Sutherland, and faces off against Rutger Hauer as the villain Lothos. You've also got Luke Perry in there, who was a big heartthrob at the time for 90210, and this was meant to be a big star vehicle for him, but he didn't quite perform as well as they expected. And it's something of an interesting curio, just of its time. It's still got kind of a fun retro look to it, and especially if you're a fan, if you've seen the TV show and you're unaware that the movie exists, this is worth going back and having a sort of a bonus origin story.
Kind of Valley Girl Van Helsing she is in this one, isn't she?
That's it. Valley Girl Van Helsing. I like that one, Paul. Excellently done. I've got a clip for you. As I say, this is Sunday night at 11:10 on 5 Star. I was madly in love with Christy Swanson when I was about 9 years old. So this movie was, is near and dear to my heart. It's Christy Swanson and Phoebe Cates, man. I grew up with class. Got a clip for you. This is Donald Sutherland meeting Buffy for the first time, unveiling her destiny.
And bits of scenery will be eaten by Donald Sutherland in this film.
Are you looking for somebody?
I was looking for you, actually.
Why? Am I in trouble or something? Because if I am, I didn't do it.
No, you're not in trouble. I am. I'm years late. You should have been taught, prepared. But I wasn't certain until just now that it was you.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying that I've been searching everywhere for you, Buffy.
Why?
To bring you your birthright.
My birthright? Is that like a trust fund or something?
I forgot. I haven't seen that film for years. In fact, I didn't see it when it first came out. I don't think many people did. And when I caught up with it, I was slightly disconcerted because it is so different from the TV series. But it's still great. Right, it's two fascinating oddities we're ending on this week, aren't we? The shooting and also Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So you've got Off Screen coming up this morning. I presume you're reviewing Inside Out 2, are you? Which you said was pretty darn good.
We absolutely, and there's a new Nicolas Cage movie out as well, which isn't getting anywhere near the hype that I would have expected it to. Arcadian is one we're talking about. It's an interesting week. There's loads to talk about.
And we'll catch up with Van Connor next week. Of course, Truckman himself with his Freeview film recommendations. And do download his podcast, always a cracky listen, called Off Screen, available from about 8 a.m. this morning, I think. And for the moment, though, for me and for Van, I'm sticking around till 5, though. That's a wrap.